What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the ABJ podcast, not cool in high school edition. Your home for deep dives, nerd confessions, and cinematic universes so messy that they need therapy. Today's episode is going to be based on Superman 2025, not just a movie, but James Gunn attempt to reset everything. We're talking lore, symbolism, politics, and hope. Before we begin, this episode may not be suitable for children. We discuss intense combat, global conflict, morality, moral moral compass issues, and emotional trauma. And yes, this one's not safe for work unless you're a journalism or an alien diplomacy. So yeah, we may say some stuff or say some craziness. So bear with us, hang out with us. This content is made for people 18 plus, but I guess if you have parents who let you listen to this, cool for you. We're not going to go too crazy, but I'll put the warning out there just in case. All right, cape on, heart open, and let's fly. So I am joined today by my guest and the owner of High Tension Wrestling Network and Wrestling, Alex the Kilowatt. What's going on, bud?
What's going on, man? One, I appreciate that you just gave me the permission to go off the rails.
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. You are on the ABJ podcast. Last time you were on here a long time ago.
The first time.
You talked about fisting or your girlfriend getting fisted. So anything is possible. Yeah. And we're out of the gate. We're 2 minutes in and we already talked about fisting.
Some people want to be worn like a Muppet. That's cool.
Yeah. Imagine Superman doing that. The Lois.
Dead.
Terrible.
Dead.
Terrible stuff. All right. So let's dive into this. Let's get into our first segment here and why this movie matters. The DC cinematic universe has its rocky history, multiple reboots, tonal whiplash, fan fatigue. Superman 2025 arrives not only as a hopeful add-on, but as a foundation stone for this new franchise. James Gunn isn't just directing, he's world building. He says this is our starting point. This film exists in a clean slate, disregarding most of the previous DC continuity, except threads he deems strong enough to carry forward. At its core, it's about faith in heroes, in people, and storytelling itself. It asks, can we believe again? So I guess my first question to you, from your first thoughts, does Superman, without spoilers or anything just yet, does Superman 2025 feel like a new beginning or just another rethread in the spandex?
No, it feels completely different than anything we've ever gotten before. It feels completely disconnected to the former DCEU. It feels different than the Greg Berlanti's CW universe. It feels to me like the comic book come to life.
Yeah.
It feels like it's ready to explore new territories with a vintage costume, in a sense, like filter, because like visually it looks like a comic book to me. It's beautiful. But yeah, I think this is something completely new. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I feel like the DC universe for the longest time was kind of in the boat of Marvel. Where back in the day, Marvel made movies, but they weren't allowed to play, or they weren't allowed to touch each other, or one movie company owned this, or one person owned the rights to this character, and this character wasn't allowed to be used unless this character, like, you know what I mean? And DC had a ton of Batman movies, a ton of Superman movies, never crossed paths. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone kind of stayed in their own lanes. Zack Snyder gave us a little bit of that. And then people were like, man, either you absolutely love the Snyderverse or you hate it. I'm someone who loved it.
I'm in between.
Yeah, I think it sucks that what I love in the Snyder universe is things that I had to deep dive and do fan fiction and be more of an insider, because not everything that was shown on screen was good. Suicide Squad, not a great movie. But if you listen to Zack Snyder's, like, hey, this was all cut from the movie, and there's a whole nother cut of that Suicide Squad. Like, you're like,
yeah. So David Ayers took on the first Suicide Squad movie, and there was a whole lot more Joker and Harley to it that just got ripped. And WB has a history of its executives coming in and being like, no. And just stripping a director of his creative freedom. So somewhere out there, there's a David Ayers cut that promises to be a far superior movie that we're never going to get to see.
Yeah, and then we kind of had that with Justice League. Batman for Superman, and then we seen that uncut version. We're like, wait a second, this is a different movie. Then we
Right.
Justice League, and it was bad. And then we just the Snyder cut of that, and then he threw in the fucking nightmare scene, which we were like, this DC universe would have been unbelievable. And it was so true to the comic book fans, but also gave the cinematic universe its own feel, and it was beautiful, and we never got it.
I wish I could say that, like, sorry. I wish I could say that that wasn't a Zack Snyder trend, but take it all the way back to Watchmen, director's cut, longer and far superior. Way more character stuff and fan service. And then you get unfortunately, Justice League was mainly due to his kid died. And then Joss Whedon had to pick up the pieces.
Well, the DC also kind of fucked him over. They were
trying to get rid of him
anyway.
Time.
They were trying to get rid of him and then use his kid's death to fire him, which sucked.
Right. But his cut was far superior. But like in general, my problem with the Snyderverse is I think it was trying to take the lead of the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight series, and everybody's want to be like, well, our DC universe got to be dark. And I don't think it has to be dark to be deep. And I think that's what James Gunn's proving. Like, not to jump ahead to Peacemaker season 2, but once you get there, it's bright, but it's deep as hell.
Yeah, I think even watching Superman, I think they did a good job of portraying Superman and what Superman is. Just in wrestling terms, if you're a wrestling fan, I'm sorry, I love that, you'll love this, but if you're not a wrestling fan, you may not get this. But the golden face, baby face, golden child, good boy Superman is boring to me. And I always wanted him with a little bit of edge, with a little bit of humor, a little bit of just not so straight lace. And James Gunn, I will get more into a little bit more him in a moment here, but I feel like he finds a way with Guardians of the Galaxy to still make it deep and feel like as an adult your intelligence is being insulted by watching a comic book kids movie, where it could be like there's some underlying tones and there's some visuals and there's some emotion here, but it's still at the end of the day can still be consumed by children. And I think James Gunn is the perfect person to pluck out of that, because DC wants Marvel movies. They want the people to take over their movies who make them feel more like Marvel, but also still give them the edge of DC. And I think James Gunn, so far in this first Superman movie, knocks it out of the park.
I agree.
All right, well, let's get into our next segment here: visuals, tone, and directional style. So. One of the film's triumphs is how it looks and feels. Henry Brahms, I hope I said his name correctly. I'm trying to get better with this. Cinematography bathes in Smallville, in golden wheat fields, sunsets, and metropolis gleam like stained glass. Every frame feels lived in and textured. Gunn's pacing is intentional, where he leaves quiet moments to breathe. Clark reading, Lois investigating, the hum in the fortress before unleashing a spectacle. He doesn't gangster sway viewers in CGI at all times, but when it hits hard. The music by John Murphy is a character in itself. It swells in hope, quiet introspect, and occasionally a sting of loneliness. It references classic Superman motifs, but just when it's enough to feel fresh. How did the movie for you look and sound, pacing land, and also the pacing land for you? Did it feel modern and classic, or somewhere in between?
So immediately, and I went to see this in the theaters, it just, you fade in on this beautifully bright, white, snowy landscape. And one of the things about the film that plays into the pacing that you expect in every origin story or superhero film is to go back to an origin story. We don't need that with Superman. He's so prolific, right? So we have
maybe. Well, go ahead.
I think so, at least at this point, But you have the opening sequence that gives you the 3-3-3-3. This many years ago, he showed up. He was raised by whoever. 3 years ago, he showed up in the scene. Now 3 minutes ago, he just had his ass handed to him, and here we are. Boom, we're ready to jump into the movie. Yes. And you're immediately jolted by the color of bright red blood staining this bright white pristine like landscape.
And he's hurt.
He's beaten. Like
this is all in the trailer, so this is nothing that we're ruining for you.
No, this is not a spoiler, but it immediately grasps you with the color and the depth of like how far this movie is willing to go, and the changes that this movie has like instilled in the lore of Superman, which is that like he's a bit more vulnerable.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought the music was done really well. I thought the visual was good. A part of me says there's a few characters that we don't need origin stories ever again with. They've been beaten to death. Superman being one, Batman being another, Spider-Man being another. Like, they're the main three. I don't think we ever need an origin story for ever again. But then this movie comes out and people are like, Superman's woke. This movie's woke. It's trying to be something it's not. And I go, no, this is a Superman movie. Even going back to Superman comics, it talked about real world things and inserted Superman in the things that were happening in real life. Superman fought Nazis. Superman was part of World War II in the comics. Like,
Superman was created by Jewish comic book writers in spite of Nazi Germany. So like, there's nothing woke about that.
Yeah.
It is,
and it was created by Jewish writers because they wish they had a person who embodied what Superman was to save them, to feel like they had someone to protect them. And Superman embodies this for a Middle Eastern country of like, no, we're not going to fight. We're going to hold our ground and Superman will save us. So like that little kid, like kind of showing the trailer of the little kid holding up his flag and just being like, Superman, save us. That's an ode to the writers saying, please, Superman. Like we wish right now in today's time we had a Superman.
So like, and that is back when Superman was created, and the parallels of, and I don't know how political you like to get here, but
you can get political.
Right now, the parallels to the time when this was created, and right now with Israel and Gaza, it's
Lex Luthor making deals.
it really is. And this movie was made a little bit before all that popped off, but it's been popping off for many years prior to it came to a head recently. But it's a parallel. The Baravian Empire trying to invade the Jarhampur. It is Israel Palestine. That's what we can relate it to. Now that's not woke. It's contemporary. It's our history, and that is what art is. It's a reflection of our real experience. You know what I mean? It's an artistic expression of that. So no, it's not woke. And the slogan for a lot of the movie is kindness is punk rock, you know, and kindness isn't a woke concept. There are unfortunately people of a certain political landscape that wants you to think that kindness is woke. And it's just
kindness and empathy are bad for this country.
But they're actually a superpower. And when people who oppress others take those strengths and make you feel like they're weaknesses or shameful, you lose your power. So embracing your kindness and your empathy and things like that, like in our real life, those are our superpowers. And that is what Superman truly represents.
Yeah.
Hope, empathy, kindness.
Yep. Yeah, I thought this world was fantastic. The tone of the setting, everything they built. Is it the just to kind of add one more question here before we move on, is it the best Fortress of Solitude we've seen on screen?
Non-animated, I'd say so.
Yeah, it seems smaller, but I feel like that's good.
We haven't explored it because like it just appears. We get, you know, basically we're just in the living room.
Yeah.
Comic book wise, that thing's a freaking museum. It's massive. There's a whole zoo in that thing. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how big it is, but I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the Superman robots, Alan Tudyk, with the comic gold of basically being I'm a robot. I don't have feelings, but then suggesting that you name him Gary is just beautifully hilarious.
All right.
And then the star of the show is Crypto.
Yeah. Maybe Crypto is good, but let's get into that. So let's get into casting, chemistry, and supporting world. So cool. David, the guy who plays, I'm not in Cornysweth. How do you say his last name?
Corin's Sweat. Corin's Wet. Yes.
Yeah, it's like wet.
Corin's Sweat. It
Um,
is a little wet.
His performance is rooted in quiet strength. He doesn't
Mhm.
rely on grand monologues. He acts with his eyes, restraint and humility. Rachel Brosnan's Lois is the film's conscious, razor-sharp, emotionally grounded brave. She's not a damsel in distress. She's a force. Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor doesn't wear a villain's mask, but he wears a business suit. He's a menace. He's intellect, and he's social currency. It's not just at bombs. He's unbelievable. And the supporting cast, we're not just set dressing other people in here, but the supporting cast. I won't go through all the actors' names because I can't pronounce half of them, but the people who play Mr. Terrific, Mr. Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Crypto, so many other people in this movie. Jimmy Olsen. I always forget the actor's name who plays Jimmy Olsen.
Skylar Gazondo.
But unbelievable. The film populates its world richly. We see newspaper staffers. We see background signs for Big Belly Burger and Jitter billboards referencing old comics. The grounded detail makes Metropolis feel lived in. Which supporting or background detail pulled you in? A side character, a signpost, or a small beat that felt larger than life or richer than life?
I mean, I think I'm just going to dive into characters and how they moved me, man. David Cornsweet as Superman. Like, I never thought that Christopher Reeves would be knocked out of my top running spot. Wow. And halfway through this movie, I'm just like, this dude gets it.
He has the look of him. What's the guy who played the last one? Shit, I'm terrible.
Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill. He has the look of Cavill, like he has a Superman look, but I thought the tone that he brought was way better. Like I'm not a Superman fan. For people who watch this, I've always have been kind of like, I respect Superman. Superman's like my Bret Hart. I understand Superman is the OG. He's the reason we have superheroes. He's the first written superhero in comic books. He is the godfather. He is the daddy. He is God.
Yeah.
But his character just never responded well to me. Yeah. And this and his version of Superman is my all. Now, I haven't really went back and watched the original Supermans just because I was so disconnected. I think the very first Superman film I ever watched was Man of Steel, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fine movie. But it wasn't like, it still was exactly what it was. It was a Superman movie. This movie, unreal. Like, I was just like, I like this guy. I like what they built. I thought Lois was fantastic. Jimmy Olsen was fantastic. I like a smaller Lex Luthor. I don't like the big jacked version of Lex because I like the idea of almost like pro wrestling where he almost plays the villain but manager role, where he's not really gonna lock in and fist fight, but he's going to beat you with his mind, his intellect, and his power. And that's what kind of keeps Superman's restraints in, because he can't just go knock him out. You know what I mean? But when he finally does, you're like, good fuck, this guy finally got what's coming to him. You know what I mean? And I like that dynamic of that scrawny little shit that you want to see get his own.
There's a quote at the end of the movie that I like, no spoilers, man, but like when he says brain beats brawn, it's just like, oh yes, this is Lex Luthor, man. This is Lex Luthor that, for me, he's the closest to like a Justice League Unlimited cartoon Lex Luthor that we've ever gotten. It just feels so good that, like, I believe he's brilliant, you know? Gene Hackman and Michael Rosenbaum were probably my favorites before this. Smallville's Michael Rosenbaum, I think, was awesome until they ruined the story at like season 7. He was amazing, but Nicholas Hoult stole the show for me, man, because the reason I fell in love with Superman is because of Lex Luthor. He was such a good villain that he brought out the best in the hero.
You know what's hilarious, kind of getting political again? I remember growing up listening to like Howard Stern and being a giant Howard Stern fan, but also being a nerdy comic book guy who watched the DC animated universe and everything like that. And I remember like I would listen to Donald Trump and I was like, this guy's Lex Luthor. Like, if you know anything about comic books, he's Lex Luthor. He's the rich billionaire who is only out for himself. And if you give him power, he's going to abuse it. And then he becomes president, which is hilarious.
So
because Lex does that in the comic books. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's fair. I'd love to sit here and say that Donald Trump isn't smart, but look what he's done. You know what I mean?
Is he smart, or is he just really rich and he has no checks and balances?
I mean, there's no accountability, and
it would be scary if he was smarter. I think that's the only thing going for us is he's not super intelligent. He's not good at hiding it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's just good at brainwashing people. He's a great manipulator.
Yeah, and he avoids accountability, which is the biggest problem.
Yeah, he can lie right to the people's face, and half the world knows he's lying, and the other half's like blindly following it.
Exactly. It's a scary thing. It's a very
he almost has the mentality of the Joker, but the business and the money of Lex Luthor. You know what I mean? Like, like he's crazy enough to light the money on fire in front of us, but smart enough to be like, I have more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. The ego is so incredibly unchecked. So then, like Lois Lane, again, Terry Hatcher was my favorite Lois Lane from the New Adventures of Lois and Clark. But this girl stole it again. She's not over sexualized. She's not sexualized at all in this film.
Mm-hmm.
But she is the character. She's perfect. If you were, a coworker, you'd probably have a crush on her too. She's just dope. She gets it,
and she keeps him in check. She's not she knowing his power, knowing he's Superman, but also be like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I know what you're doing is right, but in the grand scheme of the world, what you're doing is so illegal and wrong. Like, you have to understand both sides of the coin here. You don't understand the way the world works because you're not from this world. All you know is virtue and good, and what you're doing is fine, but there are checks and balances that you're disrupting that's going to cause big problems. And she's not afraid to put him in tone and put him in check, but also she's not afraid to get her hands dirty if things get crazy enough that she has to intervene and put herself in there.
Which is one thing I've always loved about Lois Lane is that she was never afraid to get her hands dirty, which is why she's always needed to be saved by Superman in the past. But I also love that they don't sexualize her in the way that like past Lois Lanes have been like fawning over the Superman, but dismissive of the Clark. This one's not. She's not like, oh, Superman, I'm like wet for you, corn sweat for you. Like she is all about like she's in love with Clark because in this movie, Superman is Clark, and we lean way more into the humanity of this person, which makes it a far better character than it's ever been.
And there's always that underlying tone to Superman of like, what would make Superman turn evil? What would make Superman go bad? What would make Superman to be a menace or a problem? And it's almost in every single aspect is if he doesn't have Lois. Lois is what keeps him grounded, keeps him sane, keeps him from going overboard.
And that's not the case here.
And it sets a tone, though, that even in one movie, you find how deep and strong their connection is, that like if he didn't have her, he could be unchecked and unbalanced.
Yeah, but so in this one, like there's the angle with his birth parents, but then it's his you see that his adoptive parents are really what instilled this goodness in him. And then there's some turmoil with everything that happens with the storyline, this identity crisis. But you're right, Lois Lane has that like that worldview of like, hey, look, I understand what you did over in that other country was morally right, but like in reality things are gray. You can't just choose what is right and what is wrong because you don't get to make that choice.
And coming from a system of democracy, what our country is, like, boy, we would love if Superman existed and he went in and just dismantled things that are happening in the world. But we also need to respect the fact that we have a democracy, and whether we like it or not, half the population voted for what we have right now, and we have to respect that. And that's a democracy. You can't just have someone go above the checks and balances and stop what's happening.
When they explore that in this movie, which I have to say, for me, it's one of the two most powerful scenes in this entire movie, and it's very close to the beginning, is when you hear what Superman did and how he's struggling with that, like, hey, I did the right thing. And then she's just like, but did you? Man, that's deep. It's so deep because we know morally what is right and what is just, but we just don't have that power to take it into our own hands, because in a sense it could be viewed as wrong.
Yep.
And it is the greatest conflict of everybody.
Imagine if you can save the world, you know the future, but you also know that people don't understand why you're doing it, what you're doing, because you're doing it before it happens, type deal. You know what I mean? All right, well, let's get into this next segment. This is core themes. We're going to still avoid major spoilers here. So there is going to be a section of this. Oh, your mic is going crazy. Whatever you're moving, don't do that no more. Yeah. So there is going to be a section of this where we do dive completely into spoilers, and we're going to do this. So as of right now, you are safe. We're not going to be spoiling anything.
Okay.
So this film isn't just about strength. It's about responsibility, trust, and identity. Clark is an outsider who has learned to love humanity, not above it, but alongside of it. Power without empathy is dangerous. So Gunn frames Superman's greatest challenge as not only defeating villains, but earning the trust of the worry of trust, earning the trust and the worry of the world. It touches on legacy. How can we carry forward what came before, but when the artistic hands try to rewrite it? Also, fear. Superman's greatest Achilles heel isn't physical. It's that people fear what they can't control. There's also a political edge. Without heavy-handed preaching, intervention versus sovereignty, media spin versus truth, heroism versus vigilante or overreach. Which one of those themes, identity, trust, legacy, resonate the hardest with you, and why?
I think it has to be the vigilante aspect of it. There's a lot of struggles that he has in this film. One of them is controlling his impulsive behavior and controlling his emotions. It's when something happens to somebody or something that he cares about, he goes off the handle, and that kind of stuff is used to manipulate him and his public image throughout the film. But there are parts of the film where he's in a crowded space in public, and people are kind of like looking at him like, "Oh, are you different than we thought you were?" But he maintains like his consistency. Like he goes off into a building to process rather than processing in public. Like he maintains his public appearance until it's otherwise manipulated, you know? So I think consistency is very, very important.
I relate very heavily to Superman in this movie because I think in certain aspects, I see big picture. I don't know if it's my superpower or a touch of the tiz or my ADHD, but I problem solve and I can read people very well. And 9 times out of 10, I can tell you where a situation is going to go before it gets there. And I'm like Superman. I overreach. I say, hey, that's going to be a problem in 6 months. We should nip it in the butt right now. And not everybody sees it. And I will stick my fucking neck out to fight a situation that no one else sees yet.
Right.
And I've had to learn to step back and don't play the hero until it's needed. And you kind of have to let people see what's going to happen before you step in, because overreaching and trying to figure the problem out before it arrives can be your detrimental, and it could be your way for your enemies to use that against you. And it's kind of like that situation. It's like, all right, I'll study you and I'll figure out what you're going to do. And I know how to already defeat you, but I cannot defeat you until you actually make your last move.
And this is a reason why the law itself is reactive rather than proactive, which is shitty. But also, like, hey, I'm going to give you props. Yeah, you do have that ability, and yes, you're always right. But what if?
Thank you.
What if, on a Superman level, you act too soon and you didn't have all the information?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then you become the villain who acted, you know, in what you thought was the best interest, but it wasn't. You know,
absolutely. No, I've had to learn that myself, and imagine, and I kind of put myself in the shoes as like, thank God I don't have Superman's abilities, because I would have Thanos stabbed people from the problem. Bye. And then people are like, why did you do that? You're a tyrant. I'm like, no, trust me. something you don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. I just saved you a lot of heartache. And they're
But
like, no, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
trust me, it's a Minority Report situation. I already know what's happening.
I've Doctor Strange this already. I've seen every outcome. I'm doing the right thing. Like, no, you're not. You're a scumbag. All right, fuck it. I'll let Iron Man die. But then when he dies, you're going to get mad at me.
Enjoy when Dr. Doom happens.
Yeah. No. Which, by the way, I have a weird theory to kind of go off into a different universe.
Let's do it.
What the Iron Man song, they don't ever really fully use that song or use that song as often as they do in the Marvel universe. And I have a theory of why they don't.
Okay.
They do in the very first one, but they only use the first couple bars. If you listen to the song Iron Man, it's a villain story.
Yeah. Ooh.
And if you listen to the words of Iron Man, it kind of plays out to what possibly could be coming.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that if they are connected, if they are one and the same, do you think this was the plan from day one?
No. I just think this is really smart reverting.
I do think it's a coincidence that the OG, I think Fantastic Four, Robert Downey wanted to be Dr. Doom in the worst way. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We're gonna see how it plays out. I'm very excited.
All right, well, this is going to be our spoiler-free verdict and expectations of the movie, and then immediately after this, I'm going to release the hounds, and we are going to go full-blown talk about this movie, not scene by scene, but our favorite scenes, what we liked, what we possibly didn't like. Speaking of characters, again, just to kind of revert back, besides Crypto, besides everyone we talked about, there's one character in this movie, maybe two, but the second character, I never really got his name, and so I can't really dive too much into him, but the like amoeba looking dude from the jail cell, he was cool. I didn't get his name.
Yeah, but one of my favorite actors too. He in Gotham, he was Victor Zsasz.
Oh shit, he was. And
he was also one of the Bulgarian dudes in the show Barry on HBO, and he's been in quite a few other things. He's just a funny, squirrely little guy. I love him as an actor.
But I think if there's anyone in this movie who deserves their own movie, and it's a character that, and I don't give a fuck who you are. If you are a deep dive superhero fan or a comic book guy, and this is your favorite before he was played by this guy on screen, then good for you. But Mr. Terrific he stole the fucking movie. He was so good.
Killed it.
Mr. Terrific is what James Gunn did for the Guardians of the Galaxy in the Marvel universe, because no one knew about the Guardians. No one gave a fuck about the Guardians. They looked at the visual outlook of the Guardians and like a raccoon, a green girl, a really jack guy, and a human. That team is going to be so stupid. That's right. Mr. Terrific, like just the black line in the face, the kind of motorcycle suit, and then you see him on screen, you're like, why is he not as popular as any other character in the DC universe?
Yeah, the only other time we've seen him in live action was in the Arrowverse, in Green Arrow. He was like one of his side. He was part of his team, and it's just like it wasn't very well done. But yeah, they created a star, and that's what he's doing right now. With he's like starting almost from the beginning of comic books. He's creating this new version of the Justice Society of America, but we're calling it the Justice Gang, I think, so that we don't have to stick to the restraints of using everybody from the Justice Society, and we can kind of pick and choose and create something new.
And we're not using any of the heavy hitters. So when they finally do add the heavy hitters, you're like, the Justice League, baby.
Right. Well, Justice League and Justice Society, which is like a precursor to Justice League, which is like your Dr. Fates, Hawkman, like just that kind of ilk. The Question, which is we're getting these kind of characters through the Peacemaker stuff, supposedly Blue Beetle.
Well, even like in the comics, we would have when everyone would sit around the table and be at the meeting, and you'd have all these heroes, but you're like, you really only know that 4 or 5 need to get the job done. The rest of them are kind of just hanging out.
like you said though, with the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, like Peacemaker was like, who the fuck knew who Peacemaker was?
Exactly. Another character.
Now he's one of the most interesting characters on TV.
Yeah, and even like when they redid Suicide Squad, and he did his version of it. Like King Shark is a love weasel. Like all these cool characters, like did such a good job. All right, so at its safest, this film is a reminder heroes still do matter. Which is a huge thing because right now superhero movies are on a decline. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is not hitting where it used to be. But here's the thing. I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is better now than it ever has been. But that's just my opinion because I think they're making movies for me as a comic book fan that are just more entertaining to watch. I loved Doctor Strange when Sam Raimi took over as director, or this person took over as director, and I like those different tones. And that right now they are kind of leaning into characters that people really don't care about. But maybe you don't have the ability of James Gunn as a director to make them seem larger than life.
I think they took risks with the whole Miss Marvel and the Marvels because that movie could have been a 6-episode miniseries and I'd have been fine with it. It was a movie and I was like, oh, this is bad.
Do you think the miniseries is ruining it too? Where you're like, maybe Loki should have been a movie instead of a movie series, and this movie should have been a middle like, you know what I mean? Like,
I love it. I love it because it keeps a timeline and pacing. I get to watch these miniseries in between bigger movies that tie in. I'm totally on board with that. Just like we're doing with DC, is we have Creature Commandos, Superman, Peacemaker, and it keeps me engaged, and I love it. Give me more content that I love. But I think
did you see the trailer? Off topic again, but did you see the trailer for Welcome to Derry?
I haven't watched the trailer, so this is weird, but I've started to stop watching trailers and going into movies blind.
Well, that's going to be a series. It's not going to be a movie. It's a series.
That's right. Yeah.
But you know what character they show in the trailer?
Who's that?
The old dude from The Shining, the black dude.
Yeah, so
he's in Derry. He uses the shine to experience it. Like, so they're like kind of blending in the Stephen King universe, and they're kind of doing it within Derry.
I heard that they wanted to do something with that character, like maybe give him his own show. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it looks really good. All right, and where are we at here? All right, so at its boldest is the blueprint for the decade for DC. It's not perfect, but some pacing stumbles, tonal shifts, but those feel forgivable compared to the joy of feeling excited for DC again. If this is the foundation, then what comes next finally matters indefinitely more. On a scale of cautious optimism to a raving fan, where do you lie, and what determines whether this reboot was successful or a failure?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm a raving fan. It's taking something I've already loved, and maybe it's because I didn't love Zack Snyder's version of Superman, that I love this so much more. But I think in general, everything that the DCU is doing, I'm in love with. So it's also me hating Henry Cavill's Superman and Zack Snyder's interpretation of it. But this, I don't know. I'm sold. I'm sold on every aspect of this.
I always, you know, I'm a t-shirt guy, and I've owned t-shirts with Superman on it, but never owned a Superman t-shirt. When I first seen the S on this Superman, I hated the look. I was like, that looks stupid. But now, since watching the movie, if I'm going to wear an S on my chest, it's going to be this version of Superman's S, and I'll actually be proud of being a Superman fan. I went into this very optimistic, you know, because I'm like, man, I really want DC to be successful. I love DC. I love Marvel too. I'm not a tribalist. One's not better than the other. I enjoy both universes. I want DC to be as successful as Marvel. I want them to be rivaling companies where we're like, yeah, we have two amazing universes. I want my DC. I want my AEW. I want my TNA. I want the same thing for my comic book universe. They don't have to play nice or play together. I just want them to. But I just want them to. Well, then it comes down to the booking of like who's in control of the characters, who beats who, and it's a nightmare. But
oh no, I don't want them to verse each other. I just want them to exist in like. I would love for Disney, in a sense, to own DC.
I see. I wouldn't want that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think DC has a track record of sometimes buying properties and then it loses its lust. And I think DC does things a little more artistically of like, no, we're gonna stay true and it's not gonna be the mainstream version. We're gonna give you enough mainstream to get you by, but there's a tone to DC that I feel like would be lost.
I'm a little scared right now because they are talking about the people at Paramount and Skydance putting in a bid to buy out WB, and the rumor is that if they do, that they're going to can James Gunn.
You know what scares me right now? That our political figures are buying properties with Saudi leaders. Like, dude, Trump's son-in-law Kushnick just bought EA Sports with the leader of the dude who's all over UFC and WWE and all those guys. They just bought the rights to EA Sports.
They're buying up all these media platforms, man. Like, and so is like, man, I hate bringing this up because I'm going to get shit, but Israel is literally having like their friendly billionaires buy like TikTok and shit like that so that they can over time control and change the narrative of their bullshit.
And it sucks because, like, imagine if all of a sudden we lose this form of art of comic, because comic books have always been that, like, the punk rock, the resistance. Like, comic books are 100% punk rock liberal shit. So to say they've gotten woke is crazy. They've always been woke. That's essentially what comic book writers have been. Instead of being punk rock, they Stan Lee and Bob Kane and all these great writers wrote about the injustices of the world and people who are stronger, smarter, and have more power than we have to change it.
Just like the X-Men. That's the biggest.
The X-Men is 100% stolen from the civil rights movement. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it's crazy. All right, well, let's get into the meat and potatoes here. The spoiler version of this. Let the truth be the truth behind the cape. So let's dig in cryptos and Clark's arrival and the weight of the beginning of the last son of the lost world. That's the emotional core. Clark intervenes during Borvia and how do you say it again?
Who are we talking about?
The Borvia and Jonapur, right?
Joe Hampor and Baravia.
Yeah, he intervenes during that conflict. The act becomes the film's spark. Is Superman a hero or a foreign agent? Lex Luthor amplifies the panic, not just as a mad scientist. He's a manipulator, twisting evidence, encouraging government backlash, building distrust. Ultraman's is a real savage, a mirror to Clark's ideals. His turned monstrous. Their duel is as much physiological as it is physical. When Clark is broken, Crypto becomes central. He rescues Clark from doom and drags him to the fortress. There in the solitude, Clark confronts a purpose of guilt and identity that is reckoning with a more powerful than any punch. Finally, Superman returns, not just to fight, but to restore. He unmasks Luthor's lies, he reframes the public opinion, and not only wins by his strength, but his conviction. Do you feel the emotional arc from hope to despair to resolve was satisfying? Which turn hit you the hardest? So right now we can just open up the floodgates, talk about our favorite parts of the movie. Spoilers are going to fill this section.
Okay, I got to build up to what turns hit me the hardest, but I will just go through like my 3 or 4 key scenes in the movie, which are when Lois gets to interview Superman for the first time. And that is one of the most intense interviews you've ever watched. It's uncomfortable. It's hilarious. But then you get to see the humanity and the turmoil within Clark and Superman for the first time ever. Like him questioning, like, I did the right thing. He's trying to stand up for himself. I did the right thing. And then Lois is like, but did you? You know, I know that you did, but not everybody will. And like, you just can't do that. Can you hear my dog snoring? So that is my favorite scene in this movie. It's so powerful. It reminds me of, and I'm going to put somebody over. His name is Max Landis. Are you familiar with Max Landis? He does this video on pro wrestling that you'll love. He basically tells the story of how the story of WWE is the story of Triple H, and it's one of the best videos ever. But he also has this. He writes comic books. He's a writer. He's a director. But on YouTube, he has this thing he calls the Kryptonian Epic. And what he does really, really well is he writes and performs Superman from a human aspect, and that's what James Gunn did, and that's why it's so powerful. So then the other scene that really gets me is when the kids in Johampur are about to be invaded by the Baravians, and they pull up the stick with a Superman logo on it.
They come completely unarmed.
Yeah. Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. I freaking cried. Like it's a powerful moment, and there is something about what's happening in the world right now that it keeps me off of social media, but at the same time, I can't stop looking because it hurts to watch other people hurt while I get to live and thrive and survive. So that moment, it just hits so hard, and I think it's a beautiful scene. And then the obviously the scene where the dog is kidnapped, and then he bursts into Lex's office and is like, "Where's the dog?" And you're just like, God, I relate to that. Like, what if that was my dog? I'd do the same thing.
Superman turned into John Wick.
Right, exactly. And it's such a human moment that you're like, I get it. But then you realize he's being filmed. You're taking my emotional reaction and you're turning it against me. And you and I have both been in these positions, and it fucking sucks. So like I relate to Superman even more now, which is something I just never was able to do because he's such a Boy Scout, and he's not that. He's kind and he's moral in this, but he's not a freaking Boy Scout in this movie.
Yeah, I love the fact that he has the ability to be a look at me character, and I'm just gonna beat you with complete strength and destruction and goodwill. But I love how he just takes a step back, and he has to learn in this movie too of like, I have to be more reactive than proactive. He's literally being held in a prison cell with a man holding kryptonite, and never once pleaded or begged for his life. He just showed humanity. In what little strength he had left, he was like,
yeah.
The guy was just like, yo, you should have given up. You should have tapped out. You should be dead. And won this man over of just showing his resilience and his good-hearted nature. Like he's complete. There's no chance he's gonna come out of this and win. There's nothing. At this point in time, all his help that's supposed to come and save him, they don't even get a chance to save him because he wins this man over and says, well, what do I like? He just gives up. He's like, no, you can help us here. You know what I mean? Like this guy just breaks. He breaks watching Superman not break.
Right.
And I thought that was really powerful.
We're in the spoiler.
Yeah. You could talk about anything.
Okay. So in that moment you're talking about, Lex has a gun to a food merchant's head that has just talked to Superman once and showed kindness to Superman. Right. And he's telling Superman, like, hey, don't give into this. Like, I would die for you. And Superman can't answer the questions that Lex Luthor is trying to get out of him because he's going to kill people he loves. And it's so intense for a Superman movie. And that is the moment that won over Metamorpho and changed that whole trajectory.
Yeah. The city building when the rift is tearing apart Metropolis, good visual. Trying to think, Ultraman, who then turns into who you end up finding out is essentially a Superman clone. Which normally when they go that route, I hate it. Like when they did it with Wolverine, when Wolverine had to fight Wolverine, I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, this was good.
I will also we're gonna kind of talk about this in another segment, but like I think that becomes Bizarro. There's no doubt in my brain that eventually, once he gets sucked into that black hole and he ends up wherever he ends up, he's not going to die as Superman. He's not going to die in a black hole. He's going to find a way to thrive and live. And like, will it do damage to him? 100%. Will he not come out the same way he went in? Probably, but he's not going to die. But like the whole idea of him saying, almost like a chess move where Lex is like A35, B15, and he's bingo carding and studying Superman and using him as a pawn to fight for him. And then he learns, oh, I just got to destroy the box. I just got to stop him from hearing the commands. And this dude's trash. He's not smart. He's kind of an idiot. And once he has no direction, I can beat the shit out of him. That was the cleverness of a superhero movie and a comic book of like, oh, I found the weakness. And when that hits in that movie, you're like, it's so simple and it's right there. And it's good booking. It was done so well. And I was just like, I love that. That's a great way to defeat your enemy. I wish more wrestling matches in just that aspect of like, and here's a spoiler alert. When we get back into this, that's a thing I really want to sit down with maybe I shouldn't say this in public, but I would love to sit down with a wrestling roster and be like, listen, I already know you guys have your characters, but legitimately, I want you to come up with a character sheet. I want to know your strengths, and you have to write a weakness. And I want to play. I don't want to tell the audience what your weakness is, but I want you as wrestlers to show me what that weakness is, and then let your opponent beat you in the like. That storytelling within the ring is beautiful. So when the fans sit there and go, oh my God, he has a bad knee. He just found a way to beat this monster. You know what I mean? Like, not enough people do that aspect in storytelling. And I think Superman, in such a simple aspect of just like, take away his communication, you got him beat.
We're writing stories based off characters rather than writing stories. And
take away the urn from the Undertaker, and he's not an indestructible monster.
Right. Exactly.
Like that one thing that brings the character, this super than larger than life, unbeatable monster, to now an even playing field. And I thought that part of the movie was terrific. Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane doing their detective work and figuring out how they can save the day as just normal people in a world of metahumans, I thought was beautiful. That like, even in a world full of superheroes and superpowers and things that you can't do, you can still fight with morality and humanity and smart and still enter a world of superheroes and hang. I thought that was really, really smart. And just to kind of, for me, the very end, when Superman's hanging out in the Fortress of Solitude and Supergirl walks in and asks for her dog, I lost my mind. I was like, oh, she's here. Like it adds a whole nother, it adds a whole, and the whole time they never talk about it. They never, like, there's a lot of hints to other things that are part of this world, but James is like, we're just not ready to tell you about it yet. But it's something's here, because this isn't a brand new world. This world is already lived in. This world, Superman's not day one Superman. We've experienced Superman, and I'm just like, oh, this opens the door to so much, and we don't have to play catch up all the time. Like, just the way that he can put us into a world that it's already lived in. Oh, so good.
It also gives like the why Superman's so annoyed by Krypto, but also like, I kind of got to go get this dog.
Yeah. So every time they portray Krypto, he's very smart. He's a very well-trained dog. He knows what he's doing. This Krypto's a dickhead. He's an idiot. He's a puppy. Like,
he's literally this dog laying next to me, just an asshole, but like, you love him. And then like Superman not having to be like the forefront in the spotlight the whole time, that you mentioned that. And it made me think of the scene where the Justice Gang's outside the window fighting the interdimensional imp. And he's just
which is who possibly is that?
I don't know, Mr. Spitalik or whatever. Maybe.
Mr. Mispleck. Yeah, that's my thought. Yeah, it has to be him.
Could be.
Which is another which also means we can have Batmite on screen. Could you imagine?
I thought we were gonna get it in one of the episodes of Peacemaker. We didn't though.
Oh shit! I didn't get that far. I can't wait to watch it.
But in that scene, like, it was such a deep scene, and all this crazy stuff is going on outside. But when he talks about the dog, he's just like, he's out there, he's alone, and he's probably scared. I know what that's like. Fuck. Yeah, so do I. Like, you can't not love this guy.
Yeah. Because I don't like when they retconned Krypto in the Superman as like it's Superman's dog, and he just jumps into the portal and jumps into the thing, and then like you're like, well, then then Crypto and Superman would always be together. And I kind of like the fact that no, Crypto came with Supergirl. Like that's been her pet. You know what I mean? Like when they did that, I thought that was a really good nod. Mr. Terrific's fight scene where he has his orbs and he has Lois, like
so good.
Unreal. Such a good fight scene. It was so badass.
I love when he like just casually grabs the orb and like floats over the dome. It's just so beautifully done. It's like a one shot, which is very much the fight style from the movie The Kingsman,
which I have yet to see, but I cannot wait to. Yeah, that's I have to watch it. Or even his orbs, where Crypto thinks it's a toy. Like that's fucking genius.
Hilarious.
It's so good. Crypto is so good in this movie.
Yes, and it's James Gunn's dog, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah, and it's like he's like a gray dog, and he literally just modeled Crypto after his dog, and it's all CGI, but it's his dog. It's awesome.
Yeah, was that James Gunn's brother in Lex's base with the mustache?
I don't believe so. I think it's his brother plays not Ted Cord. Who's the guy who owns the Justice Gang? Their benefactor. That's James Gunn's brother.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah. I would say the only characters who like she didn't have enough Hawkgirl, and I didn't. I mean, I probably didn't like him because it's not the version of the character that I want, and I'm probably being selfish. But like Green Lantern didn't hit for me, but he did a great job playing that character of the asshole. But you're kind of like just give me Hal and Arjan. Like I just want.
So we're getting them.
Yeah,
we are getting them. But like when it comes to that Green Lantern, nailed it.
Yeah,
nailed it. He's an asshole. He's a dick. He's very self-centered. But then it makes room for the Lantern movie, which is I feel like it's going to be very much like a detective movie, like True Detectives, but Green Lantern. We're getting Jon Stewart, and we're getting Hal Jordan, and we might get Kyle Rayner, and I think it's rumored to be that they're investigating the death of Green Lantern Alan Scott, which is the first, I think, openly gay like comic book hero.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into Easter eggs, hidden details, and DCU seeds. So Gunn dodges Easter eggs, traps, so many references they distract, but he likes to sprinkle them in thoughtfully. So some of the ones that I caught or some other people caught, but not all of them. We talked about Mr. Mixplex possibly being the imp in that one scene, but in the DC Studios intro shows Superman breaking the chains, which is a nod to Superman #1. The conflict locations, I'm not going to try to say them again because I'll butcher them, are ancient comic geography character. Like that was kind of already used in DC Comics, which was kind of a cool nod. Lord Tech hints heavily at Maxwell Lord's future role.
That's Maxwell Lord. That's James Gunn's brother.
Yeah. A street sign reading Gotham City 5 miles confirms Batman's world overlaps. So it does show us that Gotham is in the timeline.
Yep. So Metropolis is in Delaware and Gotham is in New Jersey.
Yeah, I always kind of looked at it as New York is kind of like if kind of you took a couple states out and just separated them by the Great Lakes, and Chicago is kind of where Minnesota would be, and Michigan, and then Detroit is kind of where New York would be, because like they're separated by like a small body of water, but they're not too far of a distance from one another.
Yep.
Will Reeves cameo was pretty cool.
Who was this?
Will Reeves cameo, The Emotional Legacy.
No, I did not even recognize that.
Let me see. I'll tell you right now exactly what scene it was in. He's a reporter in the movie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was a tribute to his father, who famously played in the movie. So he plays one of the reporters during, I think, like when they cut to like a camera scene. He was in it. The Fortress robots are voiced by Gunn's usual collaborators,
Alan Tudyk
and Roker. The final frames of Kara Zor-El reclaims Crypto, planting the Supergirl seeds, what's unbelievable. The mural in the Justice Gang's headquarters features Wildcat, Liberty Bell, and Xantra, which possibly members of the Justice Society. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Lex's copy of A Better World, a classic Lex's motif there. Nod to Belle Reve, the infamous DC prison. These aren't distractions; they're pledges to lore, to legacy, and they connect the universe. Which hidden details did I not say that were for you that were big, and how soon do you think they'll pay off?
Oh man, hidden details. I feel like you pretty much nailed most of them.
Bizarro. I still think that's Bizarro. I didn't put that one in there, but
yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Fan theory wise, that's got to be Bizarro. So the only thing that I don't take for that is that Ultraman is the. Are you familiar with the Crime Syndicate?
Mm-hmm.
So the Crime Syndicate is Earth 3. It's the Justice League is like a mafia, and the leader of the mafia is Superman, but his name is Ultraman. And it's such a cool, it's so cool. Batman there is Owlman, by the way.
Oh yeah. I do know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
So I don't love that they use the name Ultraman, which makes me feel like if he's Bizarro, then we may never see the Crime Syndicate, and that would hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
But very cool. I do think that's Bizarro because of him being so dumb and cast out into the void. Probably the lack of sun, the lack of oxygen, the lack of whatever the heck is going to turn him into the zombified idiot Superman.
Yeah. Do you think that's him talking when he's...
It is. So when he's the Hammer of Baravia, it's David Cornslet. He has this like embellished accent and everything. That is him talking.
I didn't know if that was him talking or if that was Lex using a voice changer and talking through the suit.
That's what I initially thought. I was watching some behind the scenes stuff. It is David doing that, and it was really cool.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to another segment here. Fan theories and wild speculation. So fans are doing the math, and here are some few theories on the internet right now that are getting some traction. Luthor for president. That subtle book cue may not be random. So maybe Lex kind of. Here's the thing too. You think to yourself, well, how does he get caught? Shown to the entire world he's a fraud and a cheat and a scumbag, and he only cares about himself, but still become the president. And
Donald
then
Trump.
you look,
Donald Trump. Come on. I want to sit here and be like, yeah, that wouldn't happen. It's happened,
dude. And here's the thing: when if you thought the Lex story and Superman story is good, when Lex becomes the president in the DC universe, that where Superman just wants to punch a hole through his face, but he can't, and he has to shake his hand, and he has to be diplomatic because he has learned if he's not diplomatic that he's essentially playing into Lex.
So if we're looking at that fan theory, here's how I think we get there, right? Lex Luthor and Superman have to work together in the Man of Tomorrow, like that reluctant buddy cop movie. Publicly, Lex Luthor is going to find a way to take all the glory, which is going to make him perceived as a hero who has redeemed himself. That gets him to the presidency.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Well, there's a whole theory that why they would have to work together coming up here in a moment. Ultraman Bizarro. DNA experiments may lead to a twist in Superman's clone in the sequel.
Connor Kent.
Yep. The Justice Society origin. The hero mural may lead to the team of legacy heroes. Maxwell Lord as an ultimate puppeteer. His name and text shows up. Maybe he ties all the villain arcs together. Kara's role and the cosmic arc. Her arrival opens a door to space politics, Green Lantern, and crypto lore. During the mid-credit scenes, there's another tease that some people have picked up on and have not picked up on. There's some cryptic data pulses in the mid-credit scenes suggesting a future invader, which may be Brainiac.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I guess during the mid-credit scenes, you see like distortions are in like, you know what I mean? I did not catch that until I read this and then I went back and looked. Multiverse is looming. Hints and dialogue, camera flares suggest that alternate worlds may be merged down the line. And I believe that is then talked about in Peacemaker as well, right?
In a sense, in Peacemaker, you feel like you're going to explore a bunch of alternate universes that we ultimately don't, even though they do play into the greater story of what will be the DCU. At least one other universe will play into it.
Yeah. And then we talked about the DC movie and then the DC reboot. Here's just some of the DC roadmap and franchise's vision, according to internet and what we do know. But this film is a launch pad for Gunn's grand design. And then here's some other ones that include. Some may already be out as well, so you can go check them out. As like this one, Creature Commandos, which is an animated series, canon to the film. So this animated series is canon to the DC universe. Which is interesting. Will they get live action versions? Who knows? Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow 2026 is a movie that's already slated. Lanterns 2026, cosmic detective drama. This is the one I'm excited for. The Brave and the Bold, which is going to be bringing Batman into this universe, but not just Batman and not just Robin, but fucking Damian Wayne. We're gonna get Damian Wayne on screen.
That's been confirmed?
Yes.
Nice.
The Brave and the Bold. And if you notice in the very beginning too, the tagline is kind of monsters and gods and monsters was used in the fucking tagline at the very beginning of the movie. Waller, a political intrigue and secret wars type thing, where I guess Amanda Waller will get her own movie. The Authority 2027, an anti-hero ensemble. Peacemaker season 2, which is out now, but it's a direct lead in to the Man of Tomorrow. Superman Man of Tomorrow 2027, Clark versus Lex continues. And then the one I'm super excited for, that's going to be kind of they're already talking about more of a horror movie style movie. There's 2 horror movies actually coming. Clayface is coming, where that's going to be like a body horror, which I fucking love Clayface. So the fact that he's getting a movie is really exciting.
I'm curious though, is Clayface going to be part of the Elseworlds like Pattinson universe, or is it part of the DCU? Because we've already seen Clayface in Creature Commandos. So I'm curious as to where this will lie.
So there's rumors that James Gunn is not against Pattinson being this Superman, this Batman for this universe.
I hope so.
Like I think he thinks that like what that universe has already created with Cobblepot and Batman and everything that's happening there, he's like I can make that fit into my world. I kind of want to keep what's. I don't mind Robert Pattinson being our Batman. I thought he did a great job.
I'm all for it.
But then the last one here I have written down, Swamp Thing, Paradise Lost, a grounding, supernatural, mythic, underpining movie, which the Swamp Thing TV show was fucking awesome. Yeah. But it cost a lot of money to make and not a lot of people watched it. So that makes me kind of nervous because that Swamp Thing show was awesome.
James Gunn has this knack for taking characters that people on a mass don't give a shit about and make you love them. Again, look at Peacemaker.
Yeah. Each project is designed to interlock, not as a forced crossover, but be natural ripples in a single pond. Do you think Gunn's plan, multiple genres under one DC universe, is sustainable, or is DC opening itself up for total whiplash again?
Nope, I think it's possible because there's multiple different styles and stories that you can tell, and the way that he's setting them up is where everything can be its own piece and tone, but ultimately can lead to the same places. And I think once everything's together, kind of like I feel like they might be setting up a Marvel Battle World type scenario. That will have its own specific tone that meshes everything else together well.
I think the Marvel universe kind of spoiled the audience with kind of bringing all the characters together. It was awesome to see in Avengers movies when you do need them to be together, but then they also need to teach the audience of like, hey, Superman helps Metropolis, but he's also a character who's global. He can go around the world. And for the most part, he's going to stay central to Earth and Metropolis. Batman is doing his thing in Gotham. This Green Arrow is doing his thing here. Like everyone's kind of designated to their own spot. Where Marvel kind of gets a little hairy is like these heroes are kind of designed to just one section of the city. Like, oh, you have Manhattan, I have this, you have that, which kind of maybe diminishes their powers a little bit because like they're getting their asses handed to them in Metropolis and like the guy's 5 minutes away and he won't come help. You know what I mean? But
yeah, exactly. It's very confusing.
Yeah. So I think DC needs to understand and teach the audience that like Superman solo is Metropolis but global.
Well,
Batman
I
to
think
himself
that
is centralized. This person centralized. But when you need the Justice League to get together for an interdimensional battle or a
sure.
space battle, that's when these teams then come together.
I think a perfect way to explain that is the scene that we already talked about when the Justice Gang is fighting the Imp, and Superman's like, they don't need me for this.
Yeah.
I'm here, but they don't need me.
Yeah. I don't need to come in and just wreck ship. Like
Yeah.
I can come in and snap my fingers and this fight's over. Yeah. Any other movies that I didn't list that you were excited for?
I don't know if it's a movie. I think it's a TV show. It is the Booster Gold series that's supposed to happen. People are thinking it's that one Indian guy. He was in that movie with Batista where he was the Uber driver. Can't remember his name. People are thinking that's who's going to be cast, but I think the perfect casting is who people think is going to be Batman, which is Alan Ritchson. He was Thad Castle in Blue Mountain State. He was Dove Man in the Teen Titans TV series. So I'm very excited for that. Booster Gold is, if you don't know who he is, he's this failed football player from the future who has a device that travels him only backwards through time.
Gotcha.
And it's awesome. So that's I'm excited for that. I think Blue Beetle is another project that they're doing. Don't know if that's going to be a movie or show.
I think Blue Beetle will be a TV show.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, Booster Gold is looking that it'll be a possibly a movie.
Yeah, which is fine. That it'll be a fun movie if it is. But
you know what I don't want to see ever again, and I hope the last movie ends it. I don't want to see any more fucking Jokers after that last piece of shit. I know you liked it, but god damn it, I don't want to see any more.
Of that series, or Joker's period as a character.
Just I don't give me any more Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I don't want any
That's
more.
Fine.
No
That's
more.
Fine.
That last movie was such a disappointment.
Well, because here's the thing, you had expectations for it.
Yeah, here's a problem. The guy made a great first movie and then once again got into fucking conflict where he hated what he created because he had a vision of where he wanted to go, and the directors and the producers and the other people had a vision. So he killed his own character in the second movie and it ruined it.
Ah, man. See, I disagree. I agree, but I think he turned that concept into the whole art of the story and the characterization of it. And I loved it. But that's nobody agrees with me on that, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I hated it so much.
I'm okay that people hated it.
I listen, Lady Gaga on screen as Harley, give me that. Joaquin Phoenix after the first thing, give me that. And then I'm watching, I'm like, can this be over? I need this to be over. Yeah. And then our last segment here, legacy, impact, and final thoughts. Superman 2025 ends not with a bang, but with a promise that better stories can be made. It gives us a hero who doesn't rule, but serves, doesn't lecture, but inspires. It gives us hope that the DC can build a universe rooted in heart, not just a spectacle. And you, the listener, it's your first chapter in a new era. And this timeline, this cape feels weighty again. What will it take in the next 2 or 3 movies for you to really believe this reboot has truly worked?
Just continued momentum, continuity. Everything that's trying to be woven together needs to be like woven together flawlessly. And I want the characters to be flexible. I want to see Lex Luthor have range in this next movie. I want you to think that he's Loki in the what was it? The Dark World, where we're like, oh shit, do we like Loki now? Nope, he's still a dick.
Yeah,
and that's what I want.
I'm for me, and it sucks that you have to bank on it but you definitely need to, especially in this day and age, is you need people's buzz. People who've seen Superman like Superman, but then there's a lot of people who didn't and say this movie was trash and they couldn't stand it.
But they didn't even watch it.
Yeah, there's people who that like it didn't get the buzz of like, oh my god, at the very end Supergirl shows up. Like I thought that'd be bigger talking point. Even like Peacemaker 2. Like the people who are into it are talking about it and they're like, yo, you should watch it. It was really exciting, but it didn't get that big buzz yet. Like when a Marvel movie drops and everyone's like, you need to go to the theaters, and you go to Endgame or you go to Avengers movie and the theaters are packed.
Yeah.
We need that to happen, because if it's not making money and it's not generating buzz and it's not generating people's interest, it's going to die again. And it seems like a lot of people, they need to win the public eye of the DC universe again, and that's what the biggest thing that needs to happen.
The biggest problem is that there's a lot of art in what's happening here. The way James Gunn presents things, like not a spoiler here, but the season finale of Peacemaker season 2 versus the hype that James Gunn tried to give it, fucked it up. It fucked it up because the finale was a beautiful piece of art. But everybody that watched it was like, this is trash. This wasn't what I expected. Everybody wanted that fan service finale, and they didn't get it. Yeah. But it was a beautiful piece of art. And so I think the problem is Weapons. That movie didn't get enough buzz, but it was amazing.
So much fun.
We have to be able to encourage people to go to the theater and watch movies that are original and creative, and I don't know, like just aren't those typical formulas and algorithms, or else we're just going to get stuck in just the same shit pumped out over and over. And it's just, we need art. And this movie was very artful. It was very political. It wasn't the political wokeness that everybody said it was. This movie was not about fucking immigration. It was about a greater worldview and kindness. So yeah, that's my thing, man. People need to value the art that is being presented to them for what it is. We need to stop putting expectations on films. I love doing fan theories as much as the next person, but doing fan theories is what ruined The Last Jedi for me. That movie sucked, let's be honest. But
WandaVision was the one that everyone had an ending for and didn't get what they wanted, and they thought it all sucked. And I thought WandaVision was excellent.
Exactly. But like, to The Last Jedi, like I thought Snoke was going to be this killer main character, and I was like, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. Anything's going to make me happy. And then they kill him in The Last Jedi, like he never mattered. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Right? Yeah. So I don't know. That's my thing. Like we got to stop putting expectations on things and just start enjoying things.
So before we close out of here, everybody, this is the Kilowatt, Alex, my best friend, my buddy. We kind of are breaking a little bit of character here, because in the world of the High Tension Wrestling Network, we don't like each other. So character wise, we're kind of breaking the mold. And if you're watching this also on the High Tension Wrestling Network, we want to let you guys know that my content is also being put over there, which is, thank you, Alex, for letting me do that and get more eyes on me. But
thank you for doing it.
We're not going anywhere. I say we because I'm very proud of the High Tension Wrestling Network and I want it to succeed, but I am in no shape or form at this point in time owner of the High Tension branding or anything. It's just a flag that I fly very high and I'm very, very proud of to be a part of. And I interject myself sometimes with some ideas. Sometimes I go through, sometimes I don't. But I guess what I wanted to say to you is, what can people expect? Where has High Tension Wrestling been? It's been kind of showcasing other people's shows.
Sure.
When do we get the reboot or the beginning of the new High Tension Wrestling Network universe?
So the background of that in story, the story that I have to give it to play into the reality of what has happened is that Wild LLC stole the company from me because I was an idiot and signed papers I shouldn't have signed. Right now, because we haven't been running shows, I get to still run the network. High Tension Wrestling, the brand, is not mine, although it's in dispute. So there's an injunction. nobody can run high tension wrestling shows until that's settled, right? In reality, running a promotion by yourself is one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're running in a city that you live 2 hours away from, and when cards are subject to change, and when venues suck. So, and when partners suck. And I'm not talking shit on Andrew. Andrew's my guy.
Fuck you, Andrew. No, I miss you, buddy.
Unfortunately, like the earlier this year, we were set to team up with Suplex. We were set to team up with some other people that ended up, we're hyping up shows. I'm investing money. I'm investing time. And those things all just fell apart and they got shut down. So I pretty much had to shut myself down for the year and involve myself in the network to try to keep the name alive. And that's where we teamed up with our partners at the Smash Master Wrestling and let them kind of host some matches where some things have happened to where Nick Gage became our champion. And that's a partnership that is interesting because that company has changed hands.
I think some fan owns it now, right?
Something like that. If you follow Facebook, it's in dispute. Is it Alexander Bateman or is it Dan Reedy? I don't know. But October 25th, we have a pretty big. We are main eventing a Smash Master show at the Ritz Theater, and that is going to be probably one of the biggest HTW matches there are. And that is the last time, possibly, that you see that belt defended before we relaunch High Tension Wrestling. Probably more so in Central PA, because that's where I live now.
You live more Northeast Pennsylvania.
I don't know.
Just helping me out.
I don't know. It's pretty central to me, but yeah, Northeast Central area, whatever. So we're basically where you live up to where I live is where I'm looking to run High Tension Wrestling and my WHW promotion as well. So 2026, we're working towards that. I moved to this new place. My finances are finally back in order. I can afford to run shows and lose money again. Hopefully that's not the case.
So, no, definitely not. But yeah. I'll make a little bit of announcement. I don't know when this is going to air just quite yet, but sure. I may show up at a Smash show and check out what's going on there. And maybe I have some developments that you may be interested in, but you'll have to find out through the network or coming to the show.
For sure, yeah. If it has anything to do with the Wild LLC,
it does. I can't lend my cards out just yet, but I do have some information regarding the Wild LLC and the status of High Tension Wrestling. I'll just leave you at that.
I'll take it,
and I won't kick you in the face again.
I hope not. I
definitely won't do that.
Well, I've got dental insurance now, so
yeah, there you go. I won't test it out. All right.
All right.
Yeah, so definitely, guys, go and check out the High Tension Wrestling Network, which just got monetized, which is super exciting. We've been working really hard at that, trying to put content and matches out and clipping everything. And there's full shows, there's single shows, there's playlists for every star on the roster. That YouTube channel has a lot of love and work put into it. Maybe some new partners. Not so much joining the network, but working with the network coming soon, which is pretty exciting in that Northeast wrestling area. But keep your eyes peeled. Follow High Tension on all platforms, and we'll see you guys at Smash. What's it called? Monster? Is it the Smash Monster or
Smash Monster 4, October 25th at the Ritz Theater in Scranton, PA.
Yeah, so we'll find out what's going on there. Because interesting stuff kind of behind the scenes happening here. JS Hawthorne just announced tons of back injuries that may be hanging up the boots for quite some time, that he needs some time to rest. And he was supposed to take on Nick Gage. Will he put together one more match? Nick Gage looks like he may be booked somewhere else. Who knows what's going? Card always subject to change.
And that is going to be on my gravestone, I'm sure.
Card subject to change?
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, we'll figure it out. Either way, this is a main event quality match, and you're not going to want to miss it, regardless who's involved.
Absolutely. All right. Well, and that, dear listeners, is Superman 2025, the dawn of the DCU, a film of quiet power, bold ideas, and deeply held hope. Thank you for flying with us. Next time, we'll dive into another possibly movie when we sit down together. Me and Alex will be doing this more often.
Hell yeah.
Where we sit down and talk to the peeps and see what's going on. But depending on which movie we do, it may be on this side, it may be a TV show, it may be music. We're open to all ideas. I do miss sitting down with and chatting with you and doing this remote or in person. Remote is way easier for me to edit, so this is beautiful.
Sure.
But yeah, so we will definitely see more of this, which is exciting. If you like this breakdown, subscribe, rate, and comment your favorite Easter eggs, or share with someone who still believes superhero movies can go. Until next time, stay grounded, stay bold, and remember, even when you can't fly, you can still stand for something. That'll do it for the Not Cool in High School ABJ podcast. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.